Welcome to my channel. Subscribe, listen, and enjoy my stories every day. My wife Emily is sprawled on the couch, her eyes glued to her phone as she scrolls through her social media feeds. It's become a nightly routine for her, a habit that's slowly built an invisible wall between us. I sit across the room, pretending to read a book, but my attention keeps drifting towards her. Her face is illuminated by the cold, blue glow of the screen, and I can't help but feel a pang of unease. It all started a few weeks ago. I noticed she was more engrossed in her phone than usual, her fingers dancing across the screen in rapid taps. At first I dismissed it as a phase, perhaps a new game or a series of interesting posts. But then, I caught glimpses of her smiles and suppressed giggles, and it sparked a curiosity I couldn't ignore. Tonight, I decide to find out what's really going on. After she drifts off to sleep, I carefully extract her phone from her grasp. My heart pounds as I unlock it, feeling a mix of guilt and dread. I navigate to her messages, and there it is, a conversation with a contact saved as Ryan. The thread is long, filled with flirtatious banter and explicit photos. My stomach churns as I read through their exchanges. He's some guy she met online, and they've been chatting for weeks. They talk about meeting up, sharing intimate details and fantasies. My hands tremble as I scroll through the conversation, my anger growing with each word. I want to smash his face in. The thought of confronting him, of making him pay for disrespecting me, consumes me. But then, a cooler head prevails. Revenge, I think, should be more calculated, more precise. I decide to use her phone to set up a meeting, and let him think he's meeting Emily. I take a deep breath and start typing. "Hey Ryan, I've been thinking about our conversation, and I really want to see you. How about we meet tomorrow night, same place we talked about?" I hit send and stare at the screen, waiting. The reply comes almost instantly. "I'd love that. Can't wait to see you." Perfect. Now I just need to plan my next move. I put Emily's phone back on the nightstand and lie down beside her, my mind racing. The next day, I pretend everything is normal. I go to work, but my mind is elsewhere. All I can think about is the meeting tonight. When I get home, Emily is already in bed, her phone charging on the nightstand. I grab it and head to the living room. I check the messages again. Ryan has sent a confirmation "see you at 8. I smirk, imagining his surprise when he sees me instead of Emily. I send one last message. "Great, see you then." As 8 p.m. approaches, I get ready. I wear a black hoodie and jeans, something inconspicuous. I grab a baseball bat from the garage, just in case. I arrive at the meeting spot, a secluded park on the edge of town. The place is deserted, and the only light comes from a flickering street lamp. I hide behind a tree, waiting. Minutes feel like hours, but then I see him. Ryan, a tall guy with a confident stride, approaches the bench where he's supposed to meet Emily. He looks around, confused, checking his phone. I step out of the shadows, bat in hand. "Hey Ryan," I say, my voice low and menacing. He turns, his eyes widening in surprise and fear. "Who are you?" "Doesn't matter," I reply. "What matters is that you've been messing with my wife." He starts to back away, but I'm quicker. I close the distance between us, my grip tightening on the bat. "You think you can just come into my life and ruin everything?" "I didn't know she was married," he protests, his hands raised defensively. "I swear, man, I didn't know." I pause, the rage boiling inside me. Too late for apologies. Now you're going to pay. I swing the bat, aiming for his legs. He dodges, stumbling backward. I advance, my heart pounding, adrenaline coursing through my veins. But then, a voice cuts through the night. "Stop." I freeze, turning to see Emily standing there, her face pale and eyes wide with shock. "What are you doing here?" I demand, my voice shaking with anger and confusion. "I followed you," she says, her voice trembling. "I saw the messages and knew something was wrong. Please, put the bat down. This isn't the way." I look between her and Ryan, my mind racing. This wasn't how it was supposed to go. Emily steps closer, her eyes pleading. "Let's just go home, okay? We'll talk about this. Please." Reluctantly, I lower the bat. Ryan takes the opportunity to run, disappearing into the darkness. Emily grabs my arm, pulling me towards the car. Come on, let's go. The drive home is silent, the tension thick between us. Once inside, Emily sits down, her face buried in her hands. Why didn't you just talk to me? She whispers, her voice breaking. I have no answer. The anger, the betrayal, it all seems so overwhelming. But now, looking at her, all I feel is emptiness. This isn't over, I know that much. But for now, the only thing left to do is face the truth. The silence in the car is suffocating, a thick veil of unspoken words and raw emotions. Emily's knuckles are white as she grips the steering wheel, her eyes fixed on the road. I sit beside her, staring out the window, replaying the night's events in my mind. The adrenaline rush has subsided, leaving behind a hollow ache in my chest. We pull into the driveway, and Emily cuts the engine. She doesn't move, doesn't speak. I glance at her, but her face is a mask of unreadable emotions. Finally, she breaks the silence. Why, Mark? Why didn't you just talk to me? Her voice is barely above a whisper, but it's laced with hurt. I swallow hard, struggling to find the right words. I didn't know how. I saw the messages and I just lost it. I felt betrayed. Emily sighs, running a hand through her hair. I know it looks bad, but it's not what you think. I mean, it is, but it's complicated. Complicated, I snap, unable to contain my frustration. You were flirting with another man, Emily. How is that complicated? She winces, her eyes welling up with tears. It's complicated because I felt like you weren't there anymore. You've been so distant, so absorbed in your own world. I felt lonely, Mark. And Ryan, he made me feel noticed. Her words hit me like a punch to the gut. I hadn't realized how disconnected I'd become. I never meant to make you feel that way, I say quietly. But why didn't you tell me? Emily shakes her head. I tried, but you were always too busy, too distracted. And then Ryan. It just happened. A heavy silence settles between us. I take a deep breath, trying to process everything. We need to figure this out, I say finally. Together. But first, we need to deal with Ryan. Emily looks at me, her eyes wide with fear. What do you mean? I'm not letting him get away with this, I reply, my voice firm. But I need help. Someone who can handle this discreetly. Emily nods, understanding dawning on her face. I know someone. My brother, Jake, he's a private investigator. He can help. The next morning, Emily calls Jake and arranges a meeting. We drive to his office, a small, nondescript building on the outskirts of town. Jake greets us at the door, his expression serious. Emily told me everything he says, ushering us inside. Let's sit down and figure out a plan. Jake is a tall, imposing figure with sharp features and piercing blue eyes. He listens intently as I recount the events of the previous night, nodding occasionally. We need to be smart about this, Jake says once I'm finished. If we go after Ryan directly, it could backfire. We need to gather evidence, make sure he can't worm his way out of it. Evidence, I ask, confused. What kind of evidence? Anything that ties him to what he's done, Jake explains. Messages, photos, anything that proves he was knowingly pursuing a married woman. We'll build a case against him, make sure he can't deny it. Emily nods, her expression determined. What do we need to do? Jake pulls out a notepad and starts jotting down notes. First, we need to get access to Ryan's social media accounts, his emails, anything that could have incriminating evidence. Emily, you'll need to contact him, keep the conversation going, make him think everything's fine. I feel a pang of discomfort at the thought of Emily talking to Ryan again, but I know it's necessary. Okay, I say reluctantly. What else? We'll need to follow him, see if we can catch him in the act, Jake continues. I'll handle that part. And Mark, you need to stay calm. No more confrontations. We can't afford to tip him off. I nod, feeling a mix of relief and apprehension. This plan feels risky, but it's our best shot at getting justice. Over the next few days, Emily keeps in contact with Ryan, pretending everything is normal. She saves every message, every photo, and forwards them to Jake. Meanwhile, Jake tailors Ryan's movements, gathering evidence and documenting his activities. One evening, Emily comes to me, her face pale. Ryan wants to meet again, she says, handing me her phone. He sent this. I read the message, my anger flaring up again. He thinks he can just keep doing this, I mutter. But he's about to find out he's wrong. Jake steps into the room, his expression grim. This is it, he says. The final piece of the puzzle. We need to set up a sting operation. Catch him red-handed. The plan is set. Emily arranges to meet Ryan at a coffee shop, while Jake and I set up nearby, ready to intervene. The tension is palpable as we wait, watching the door. Finally, Ryan walks in, a smug smile on his face. He sits down at a table, waiting for Emily. My blood boils at the sight of him, but I force myself to stay calm. Emily walks in a few minutes later, her face a mask of indifference. She sits down across from Ryan, and they start talking. Jake and I watch from a distance, recording everything. After a few minutes, Emily stands up, pretending to go to the restroom. Jake gives me a nod, and we move in. Hey Ryan, I say, stepping up to his table. His eyes widen in shock as he sees me. Remember me? What are you doing here? He stammers, looking around nervously. Just wanted to have a chat, I reply, my voice calm but menacing. About how you've been messing with my wife. Ryan tries to stand up, but Jake steps in, blocking his path. Sit down, he orders, his voice cold. We have some questions for you. Ryan sinks back into his seat, his face pale. I didn't mean any harm, he says, his voice shaking. I swear, I didn't know she was married. Save it, Jake snaps, pulling out his phone. We've got all the evidence we need. Every message, every photo, you're finished. Ryan's face crumbles, and he looks like he's about to cry. Please, don't ruin my life, he begs. I'll do anything. Jake and I exchange a look. This isn't just about revenge anymore, it's about making sure Ryan can't hurt anyone else. Here's what's going to happen, Jake says, leaning in close. You're going to disappear. Leave Emily alone and never come back. If we see you again, we'll go to the police with everything we've got. Understand? Ryan nods frantically, tears streaming down his face. I understand. I'll leave. Just please, don't ruin my life. Get out of here, I say, my voice cold. And remember, we're watching you. Ryan stumbles out of the coffee shop, his face a mask of fear and desperation. Jake and I watch him go, a sense of satisfaction washing over me. We did it. We protected Emily and got rid of Ryan. But as we leave the coffee shop, I can't shake the feeling that this isn't over. There's more to this story, more secrets to uncover, and I'm determined to find out the truth, no matter what it takes. The aftermath of the coffee shop confrontation leaves a lingering tension in the air. Emily and I return home, both of us lost in our thoughts. Jake's warning to Ryan should have been enough to end things, but something gnaws at me, an uneasy feeling that there's more beneath the surface. The next morning, I wake up to the sound of Emily's muffled sobs. I find her in the kitchen, her face buried in her hands. Emily, what's wrong? I ask, rushing to her side. She looks up, her eyes red and swollen. I feel so guilty, Mark. Everything that's happened, it's my fault. I wrap my arms around her, holding her close. It's not your fault, I say gently. We both made mistakes. But we can get through this together. Emily nods, but I can see the doubt in her eyes. There's something else, she whispers. Something I haven't told you. My heart skips a beat. What is it? She takes a deep breath, her hands trembling. Ryan. He's not just some random guy. We met through a support group online. I was feeling so alone, and he seemed to understand. But there's more to him than I realized. What do you mean? I ask, my mind racing. He's part of something bigger, she says, her voice barely audible. A group that targets vulnerable people online. I think he's done this to other women. The weight of her words sinks in. This isn't just about us anymore. We need to find out more, I say firmly. If he's targeting other women, we have to stop him. Emily nods, a determined look in her eyes. I'll help you. We'll figure this out together. I call Jake and explain the situation. He agrees to meet us at his office, and we head over, the tension in the car palpable. When we arrive, Jake is already waiting, his expression grim. We've got a problem, he says, ushering us inside. I've been doing some digging, and it looks like Ryan is part of an online network that preys on vulnerable people. They use fake profiles to lure them in, gain their trust, and then exploit them. A chill runs down my spine. How do we stop them? We need more evidence, Jake replies. We need to find out who's behind this network and expose them, but it's going to be dangerous. These people don't play by the rules. Emily speaks up, her voice steady. I'll go back online, pretend like I'm still talking to Ryan. Maybe I can find out more about the group. Jake nods. It's risky, but it might be our best shot. I'll be monitoring everything, so you'll be safe. Emily and I agree, and we spend the next few days setting up a plan. Emily re-establishes contact with Ryan, pretending to forgive him and wanting to continue their relationship. It's a delicate dance, but she manages to get him to talk about the group. They call themselves the Circle. Emily tells us one evening, her face pale. Ryan mentioned a few names, but it's all very secretive. They communicate through encrypted messages and use fake profiles to cover their tracks. Jake frowns, his fingers tapping on the keyboard as he searches for information. The Circle, I've heard of them. They're known for blackmail and extortion. This is bigger than I thought. Can we take them down? I ask, my frustration mounting. We can, but we need to be smart about it, Jake replies. We need to gather enough evidence to bring them to justice without putting ourselves at risk. Over the next few weeks, Emily continues her online investigation, feeding us information about the Circle. Jake and I work tirelessly, piecing together the puzzle and identifying key members of the group. It's a slow and painstaking process, but we're making progress. One night, Emily receives a message from Ryan. They want to meet, she says, her voice trembling. The leader of the Circle wants to meet me. My heart races. This could be our chance to expose them. We need to be careful, I say. This could be a trap. Jake nods in agreement. We'll set up surveillance and make sure you're safe. But this might be our only chance to bring them down. The meeting is set for a secluded warehouse on the outskirts of town. Emily and I arrive early, setting up hidden cameras and microphones with Jake's help. The tension is palpable as we wait, every minute stretching into an eternity. Finally, a group of men arrives, their faces shadowed in the dim light. One of them steps forward, his presence commanding. Emily, I presume, he says, his voice smooth and menacing. Emily nods, trying to appear calm. Yes, and you must be the leader of the Circle. The man smirks. You could say that. My name is Victor, and I've been looking forward to this meeting. As they talk, I watch from a hidden vantage point, my heart pounding. Jake is in another position, monitoring the situation, and ready to intervene if necessary. Victor's tone shifts, becoming more threatening. You see, Emily, we don't take kindly to betrayal. Ryan told us about your little investigation. We know you've been talking to the police. Panic surges through me. This wasn't part of the plan. I glance at Jake, who gives me a signal to stay calm. Emily's voice wavers. I don't know what you're talking about. Victor steps closer, his eyes narrowing. Don't play dumb. We have eyes everywhere. And now, you're going to pay for your betrayal. I can't stay hidden any longer. I burst out of my hiding place, yelling, "Leave her alone." Victor's men react instantly, pulling out weapons. Jake appears beside me, his own gun drawn. Everyone, stay calm, he orders, his voice authoritative. The standoff is tense, the air thick with fear and adrenaline. Victor sneers, looking between us. You think you can take us down? You're outnumbered. Jake's expression is steely. We've got enough evidence to put you away for a long time. It's over, Victor. Victor laughs, a chilling sound. Evidence can be destroyed, but I admire your determination. Unfortunately, it won't save you. Before I can react, chaos erupts. Victor's men charge at us, and I find myself in a brutal fight. Jake and I hold our ground, but the odds are against us. Emily screams, trying to get away from Victor, who grabs her roughly. In the midst of the struggle, I manage to knock one of the men to the ground, grabbing his weapon. I aim it at Victor, my hands shaking. Let her go. Victor pauses, his eyes cold and calculating. You don't have the guts. Desperation fuels my resolve. Try me. For a moment, everything hangs in the balance. Then, sirens wail in the distance, and Victor's men start to scatter. Jake and I move quickly, subduing the remaining attackers and securing the scene. The police arrive, taking Victor and his men into custody. Emily runs to me, her eyes wide with relief and fear. "Are you okay?" I nod, pulling her into a tight embrace. "Yeah, we're okay." Jake approaches, a satisfied look on his face. "We did it. We took them down." As the police finish their work, I can't help but feel a sense of closure. But I also know that this is just the beginning. There will be trials, investigations, and more revelations. But for now, we can breathe a little easier, knowing that we've stopped the circle from hurting anyone else. Emily and I return home, exhausted but relieved. We sit together on the couch, holding each other close. "Thank you," she whispers, "for everything." I kiss her forehead, feeling a newfound sense of hope. We'll get through this, together. As we sit in the quiet of our home, I know that our journey isn't over. There will be more challenges, more secrets to uncover. But with Emily by my side, I'm ready to face whatever comes next. The weeks following the takedown of the circle are a whirlwind of police interviews, media coverage, and legal proceedings. Emily and I are thrust into the spotlight as key witnesses, our lives dissected by reporters and investigators. Through it all, Jake remains a steadfast ally, guiding us through the labyrinth of legalities and ensuring our safety. Despite the chaos, there's a sense of relief. The circle's leaders, including Victor, are behind bars awaiting trial. Emily and I are trying to rebuild our relationship, taking it one day at a time, but something still feels off, an undercurrent of unease that I can't shake. One evening, as we're sitting in the living room, Emily's phone buzzes. She glances at it, her face paling. "Mark, you need to see this," she says, handing me the phone. "It's a message from an unknown number. You think it's over? Think again. The circle is bigger than you know." My heart skips a beat. "What does this mean?" I ask, my voice trembling. Emily shakes her head, her eyes wide with fear. "I don't know, but we need to find out." We immediately call Jake, who arrives at our house within the hour. He reads the message, his expression grim. "This isn't good. If there's more to the circle than we thought, we're all in danger." "Can we trace the number?" I ask, desperation creeping into my voice. Jake nods. "I'll need some time, but I can try." Over the next few days, Jake works tirelessly to trace the message. Meanwhile, Emily and I stay on high alert, our nerves frayed. Then, one evening, Jake calls us with a breakthrough. "I've traced the number," he says, his voice urgent. "It's coming from a location in the city. We need to check it out, but we have to be careful." We agree to meet Jake at a safe house he's arranged, a small, discreet apartment in a quiet part of town. When we arrive, Jake is already there, setting up surveillance equipment. "This is the address," he says, showing us a map on his laptop. "It's an abandoned warehouse. We need to move fast and gather as much evidence as we can." Emily and I nod, steeling ourselves for what's to come. We gear up with the equipment Jake provides, including body cameras and communication devices. Then we head out, our hearts pounding with anticipation. The warehouse looms ahead, a dark and foreboding structure. We approach cautiously, sticking to the shadows. Jake motions for us to stop, holding up a hand. "There's someone inside," he whispers, pointing to a faint light flickering through a broken window. We move closer, peering through the window. Inside, we see a group of people huddled around a table, their faces illuminated by the glow of a laptop screen. I recognize one of them instantly, Ryan. "What's he doing here?" I hiss, my anger flaring. "Looks like he's still involved," Jake replies, his voice tense. "We need to find out what they're planning." We slip inside the warehouse, moving silently. Jake sets up a camera to record their meeting, while Emily and I take positions behind some crates, listening intently. Ryan's voice carries across the room. "Victor may be gone, but the circle lives on. We have new leaders, new plans, and those who betrayed us will pay." My blood runs cold at his words. Emily and I exchange a worried glance, realizing the gravity of the situation. "We need to stop them," I whisper to Jake. He nods. "We need evidence." Let's get closer. We inch forward, trying to catch more of the conversation. But then, a floorboard creaks under my foot, and Ryan's head snaps up. "Who's there?" he demands, his eyes narrowing. We freeze, holding our breath. But it's too late. Ryan gestures to his men, and they fan out, searching the warehouse. We have no choice but to make a run for it. "Go, go, go," Jake urges, and we bolt for the exit. Ryan and his men give chase, and a frantic pursuit ensues through the darkened warehouse. We dodge obstacles and scramble over debris, our hearts pounding with fear. Just as we reach the exit, Ryan catches up, grabbing Emily's arm. "You're not getting away that easily," he snarls. I turn back, fury surging through me. "Let her go." Ryan smirks. "Make me." Without thinking, I launch myself at him, tackling him to the ground. We grapple, trading blows, but Ryan is strong and determined. He manages to pin me down, his face twisted with rage. "You ruined everything," he shouts, raising his fist to strike. But before he can land the blow, Emily grabs a metal pipe from the ground and swings it at him, knocking him off me. I scramble to my feet, grabbing the pipe and standing protectively in front of Emily. "Stay back," I warn, my voice shaking with adrenaline. Ryan glares at us, but before he can make another move, Jake appears, gun drawn. "It's over, Ryan. Hands up." Ryan hesitates, then slowly raises his hands, realizing he's outnumbered. Jake moves in, securing him with zip ties. "We've got enough evidence now," Jake says, his voice firm. "The police are on their way." As the sirens wail in the distance, I turn to Emily, pulling her into a tight embrace. "Are you okay?" She nods, her eyes filled with relief. "Yeah, thanks to you." The police arrive, taking Ryan and his men into custody. Jake hands over the evidence we've gathered, ensuring that the circle's remaining members will face justice. As we watch them being led away, Emily and I share a quiet moment, the weight of the past weeks finally lifting. "It's over," she says softly, squeezing my hand. I nod, feeling a sense of closure. "Yeah, it's over." But as we walk back to the car, something catches my eye. A piece of paper, fluttering on the ground. I pick it up, my heart skipping a beat as I read the words scrawled on it. "The circle is everywhere. Trust no one." I show it to Jake, who frowns. "This isn't over," he says, his voice grim. "There's more to this than we realized." Emily and I exchange a worried glance, but I feel a newfound determination. "We'll face it together," I say firmly. "Whatever comes next." Jake nods. "We'll be ready." As we drive home, the sense of unease lingers, but so does the resolve. We've faced danger and deceit, but we've come out stronger, and whatever the circle has planned, we'll be ready to take them down. The journey isn't over, but for now we have each other, and that's enough to face whatever comes our way.